I think it's worth it. Maybe I didn't think that when I first got this, but I do think this is worth it. This smells like probably the best fragrance in my entire collection. This is probably my #1 fragrance. When it comes to niche fragrances, we understand that there are two sorts of brands out there. There are the more affordable niche houses like Mancera or Goldfield and Banks, and then there's the Clive Christians, the Rojas, and the Amouages. Today's video is more about that latter variety of niche fragrances, the really expensive ones. Economic times are tough currently. People are having to start saving funds for buying eggs these days, apparently, so we need to be responsible with our money. However, today's 10 expensive fragrances are so good that they're actually worth going into severe financial debt for. I'm joking, guys. Make sure you're buying your groceries responsibly first. Priorities, priorities. But hey, let's begin today's list and see if you agree with me. If you guys don't know, we have our own fragrance brand called Atrium, where we are trying to introduce and explore new creative ideas in men's perfumery. You can get a well-rounded collection in one purchase through acquiring our discovery set of our Curiosity collection, which is now available. Use the link in the description down below. Of course, guys, as I'm going through these fragrances, you should always consider sampling the fragrance first. Blind buying is always at your own risk, especially for how expensive these fragrances are. It's more financially risky, of course. These fragrances are more on the sweeter side in general, but there are a handful of freshies here also. We'll start off with the first fresh fragrance, Ormonde Jayne's Montabaco Intensivo. I always give this fragrance a 10 out of 10, even when I had a sample of it back in that very first video I talked about it. This is such an interesting, unique, fresh aromatic tobacco fragrance. It's tobacco done in a very clean way. It's not like any other tobacco out there. You think of evening fragrances usually with tobacco. This is airy, crisp, ozonic, citruses. There's a lot of Isola super here. It's cedar woody, the tobacco in there. It's very complex. It's kind of in the same style as something like Silver Mountain Water, but they're not clones at all. This is a unique original creation like all Ormonde Jayne fragrances. It's one of the best niche houses out there. I really had a great time recording that video with them. This was gifted to me by the brand, but that was after I already tried the fragrance as a sample. Fantastic, fresh, complex, and you'll never get bored of this. Very long lasting as well for a freshie. 10 out of 10 from me. That means carved oud. You always need the oud wood DNA in your life, in my opinion, unless you absolutely hate it. Of course, try it out first. But if you want oud wood in your fragrance collection, you want a replication of it that smells expensive, it lasts a really long time, which a lot of people don't think is the case for the current formulations of oud wood. This is actually a little bit cheaper than oud wood, but it smells more expensive. I think it's worth it. It's a, let's say, 90% similar to oud wood. There's a slight twist in here. It's a little bit darker. A slight hint of incense is in here. Yes, it's expensive for a 50 ml, but it's still a 10 out of 10. 10 hours longevity with a medium projection is what I get. It's thicker, richer. I'm not sure if you need to get oud wood whilst this exists. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. Merchant of Venice Venezia 21. I've tried Rococo from the brand. I've tried Arabesque as well. Both very good also, but this Venezia 21 really stands out to me in the brand. This is a very creative take on an oud fragrance. If you're tired of the typical rose and ouds out there, you want something a bit different, creative, that goes for a cinnamon, powdery, ambery, Middle Eastern, praline twist on an oud DNA. This is great if you want a head turner. This is loud, unisex, great longevity, and unique. It has a prominent cinnamon note in here as well, so it's sweet, playful, really sexy, but I still think it's balanced enough to be worn 3 out of 4 seasons, probably not in the summertime. Merchant of Venice have some of the best packaging out there. You know, I'm not like the kind of guy who always talks about packaging, but for this brand, of course, it does stand out. In fact, I have to mention it, it does actually stand out. The scent feels luxurious, the packaging feels luxurious. It's a luxurious experience when you get one of these fragrances. For transparency, this was gifted to me for a previous video we did, but I would easily pay full price for this fragrance. Sorry, I wouldn't say easily or happily necessarily because my wallet might not like it, but I think it's definitely worth its price tag. That's what I'm saying, guys. You know what I mean. Chanel's Coromandel. This is the only private line fragrance I own from Chanel, and I think it's my #1. Maybe this and then Le Lion might be #2, just about, quite close to each other though. Coromandel though is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. If you want patchouli in your collection, one of the best to do it in the history of perfumery, you gotta try Coromandel. It's a classic. It is patchouli, white chocolate, bit of iris, some citruses in here. It has that balance of fresh and sweet, smells like elegant, a little bit powdery. It's unisex, leaning a tiny bit feminine, but I think you can definitely rock it as a guy. 3 out of 4 seasons, not ideal for the summertime, but I've actually made a video before where I do think you can rock this in the summer. Maybe 2 sprays. This stuff is loud. It lasts a really long time. Beautiful, beautiful patchouli scent. Absolute masterpiece. Roja's Isola Blue Parfum. Now, this was gifted to me after I did a recording with the brand themselves at their boutique here in the UK in London, and I tried this. I heard it smells similar to Terre d'Hermès, and I would agree with that. This is like a more niche version of Terre d'Hermès in my opinion. It has that citrusy, that smokiness, that professionalism that Terre d'Hermès is known for. Very easy to wear, a little bit mature, masculine, but this smells more niche, a bit more complex. Probably has more expensive citruses, more expensive white florals, and more expensive musks. However, this is actually not the fragrance I'm going to be featuring in today's list, because this is £400. Even though this was gifted to me, I can't give this higher than an 8 or 8.5, let's say, because this is £400 for a 50 ml. Yeah, this is 50 ml, and I just think that's so overpriced. This needs to be at least £100 cheaper in my opinion. I think it's a great fragrance, but that £400 is crazy. This should probably be, for 50 ml, probably £250 honestly. But maybe, hey, Roja are going for the very luxurious clientele where £400 is not a lot for them. But I'm just telling you guys, I think this fragrance is very expensive. But I paid for Roja Parfums Burlington 1819 instead. So I paid just under £300 for this. I think this fragrance is worth it. For £300, I sampled it 1 year, and then I bought it then the following summertime when the weather got better. One of my favorite citruses of all time, complex, never boring. Smells like money, smells like luxury, smells mature, masculine, very long lasting for a citrus freshie also. A little bit aromatic, minty, herbaceous, got some rum in there, some really long lasting musks. It's a beautiful, elegant citrus fragrance. Potentially one of my favorite citrus fragrances out there of all time. This is probably going to be a for life fragrance for myself personally. 10 out of 10. Maison Francis Kurkdjian Grand Soir. This is my first full bottle from MFK. I've been delaying pulling the trigger on their fragrances for a long time. I'm not sure why, but I would say if I had to buy a full bottle, like this is not a full bottle, this is 35 ml. And to be honest, for most MFKs, if you're a collector, if you have more than 10 fragrances in your collection, go for a 35 ml because their fragrances, the good ones in my opinion, are very strong. Grand Soir, Oud Thameen, and Baccarat Rouge are the 3 I would personally buy 35 mls of, and you only need like 2 or 3 sprays of each of these. They're all potent. Grand Soir just works in any man's collection. A very safe, elegant, expensive smelling, simple evening fragrance with amber and vanilla, a little bit spicy. It smells golden like the juice looks, as you can see, and it lasts over 10 hours with a medium to loud projection. Easily worth the money. Get a 35 ml is my suggestion to you. But as it is the theme of this video, if you had to get a 75 ml, it's worth the money also. Beautiful fragrance. Marc-Antoine Barrois Ganymede. I sampled this fragrance twice, didn't really understand it at first. It grew on me. Beautiful fragrance, beautiful in the sillage mainly. You get a mineralic, marine, suede, ambery, slight hint of saffron in this fragrance. It's beastly 12 hours. Really interesting choice of musks. It's such a unique fragrance that is beautiful in its own way. It's got a beastly projection. So also, again, even though it is worth the full 100 ml, the 30 ml I have here is also just a great choice because you don't need many sprays, especially if you're a collector. I would say this leans masculine as well overall, though I think both genders could rock this. Very creative, great scent. Sample it first though, for sure. Parfum de Marly's Carlisle. I'm actually wearing it right now this evening. One of my favorites from the brand. Layton is Superman, this is Batman. And the store in London here as well, when I did my recent video with them, told me that people keep approaching them and telling them to show them that Batman fragrance, which must be a reference to myself. So I feel honored to always feature this fragrance. Dark, mature, masculine, apple pie, spiced nutmeg with a nice hint of rose in there with a beautiful vanilla, a really sexy, warm, patchouli, sweet, spicy fragrance. Probably in a similar vein to something like Red Tobacco Intense and Hugo Boss bottled Absolu, the new flanker. So if you own either one of those other fragrances, you may not necessarily have to get this fragrance if you don't love the style that much. One of those will do. I own Boss Bottle Absolu myself, and I don't feel like it's redundant to own both. Like Boss Bottle Absolu is definitely not in the same caliber as this. It's a good fragrance, but it's more like the designer version of this kind of idea. Xerjoff's Tony Iommi Deified. I did that one video about this brand, and I just bought this very quickly afterwards when I sampled this because this just spoke to me. And I wore this in Granada in Spain. It was the first time I actually sampled this, and you know, it was like I think around 20 degrees Celsius, and it was fine honestly. Even though I don't think this is a summer fragrance, I think this has great versatility as a really intense, cool, expensive, natural smelling signature. This does smell like a rock star in my opinion. It's got spicy, rose, leather, it's got the patchouli in there, it's got a beautiful green apple to brighten it up also. If you want to rock a rose fragrance that smells very masculine and not like a traditional rose at all, this is a masterpiece in my opinion. It's not for everyone, definitely sample it first. It's beastly, 12 hours with a loud projection, and even just 2 sprays is all you need in even slightly warm weather because it's so potent. And lastly, Amouage's Jubilation 40. For transparency, this was also gifted to me by Amouage a few years back. And you know, that was after I came back from Barcelona. I wasn't even expecting this fragrance. It was a really beautiful surprise. And Jubilation 40, you know, Jubilation 25, to me, it's a nice fragrance, but sample it first. For me, it's not a fragrance I have to own. I wasn't the biggest fan of the original, but this elevates it. It makes it more rich, deeper, more luxurious. It's not just an increase in the concentration. So the 40 means 40%. This is a very intense extrait. It's a very expensive fragrance. I think it's worth it. Maybe I didn't think that when I first got this, but I do think this is worth it. This smells like probably the best fragrance in my entire collection. This is probably my #1 fragrance. It's so versatile as well, very long lasting. It may not be the best summertime fragrance, maybe 2 sprays in the summer evenings at most, but you can just rock this as a signature and you'll smell like a king. This, you know, I think that's a bit cringe when people say, oh, it makes you smell like a king, this fragrance, but this kind of does, you know. I believe Amouage's background is they made fragrances for the Omani royal family, and I feel like, yes, that is very fitting, this fragrance for them. Amouage are generally one of the brands that are worth the money that you're going to spend. They are expensive, but most of the time you should be trying the fragrances first. This is quite safe, very complex, fun, easy to wear, fruity, ambery, resinous oud. That's very easy to wear. It's not an intense oud. It's very balanced, beautiful. It smells like money, and in my opinion, it is worth the money. That concludes this list, guys. Let me know, how is your stock of eggs in your fridge looking currently? Are you going to sacrifice them for more fragrances? Do you agree or disagree with my list today? And let me know, guys, what are some really expensive fragrances that you think are worth splashing out for? Let us hear them in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my previous video on full bottle worthy niche fragrances up here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.